Hello, and welcome to Knights of the Night Actual Play Podcast. This Dresden Files story, Delivery, was written and run by our GM Tom. And now, please enjoy episode 73, titled Preparation. Before we get into the role-playing part of the night, we have a little bit of feedback. Only one this time, and it's from our feedback at kotnpodcast.com. Mike, if you would.
This comes to us from Theron Merkty. Hail Team Cleveland. First and foremost, great praise goes to Tom, sorry Mike and Scott, for the awesome, terrific use of sound effects in the podcast. The timing and choosing of the effects brings out the mood of the episode tenfold, especially the Bill flashback sounds. It reminds me of listening to a professional radio play, but praise also goes to the players for playing out their characters the way they do. Yes, you especially, Mike. The episode left me hungry for more. Hope I don't chew my MP3 player before the next episode. Secondly, on the roundtable discussion, if you are willing to try something of fantasy, then I recommend Warhammer 2nd Edition. It's good enough for the mystery stories as well as political intrigues. It's not an epic RPG, so the characters have all the fun possibilities to die, not only from the sword. Still watching out for your to-come episodes. Your true faithful listener, Theron Merkty. I follow up with what Theron says because I just happen to be listening to all the episodes this week, at least the latest ones, and I hadn't been listening to the episodes, so I was really surprised, and not surprised, I really enjoyed the production value of the sound effects and the music and the kind of the muted background of the spell casting in the battle and all the other stuff, or the sounds of the ghost talking to me. It really added something to the show, and even though I lived the reality, I was here playing the game, but then going back and listening to it was an even better experience because it's all nice and produced. So it was fun.
Well, yes, thank you. But it's amazing how we're a year and a half into this podcast, and I'm still learning things on how to do it better than I've done in the past.
That never stops.
No, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good.
I bet you write code better now than you did 3 years ago.
I'm lazier now. Just slap that shit together and move on. But in certain episodes, I try to punch it up a little bit because there's not as much action. You know, in that entire last 2 episodes, it was exploring a house and finding clues and discussing clues. And in general, that's not as exciting as a battle. So I want to try to add something else, but muting the music even more than it has been in the past. Still trying to find that right spot as far as the bed of music, how loud it should be to cover over the thumps and the noises and the crunches on the table, but yet not interfere or become annoying to the listeners. So it's always.
I'm looking forward to seeing what your production values do to my World of Darkness story too.
I'm not going to work as hard on yours.
I know. we pretty much just ran with that story, and I played the music while the game was going on, and it'd be interesting to see. I'm going to try to tone that down a little bit, and then let you do your magic with the production and see how that turns out as well. So I'm excited from my perspective to see all the lessons you've learned with Dresden carry over to the next story in the World of Darkness. And I wanted to thank Theron for being such a dedicated listener. I mean, he's been listening for a long time now and commenting a lot of feedback. So don't chew your MP3 player and keep listening, because we enjoy having your comments. You always bring some interesting takes to the table, so we appreciate that. And we'll have to look into Warhammer as well, since he mentioned it.
I've heard of it before. I don't know that much about it. I haven't really looked at the system itself, but it's, I mean, especially since recently we discussed looking at fantasy again, and to have a tool set that is more generous with the political intrigue and the mystery and stuff that
which
really
we seem to enjoy a little bit more than straight out combat, although we enjoy our fair share of combat.
Right.
For some reason, I was always turned off based on the cover art. The tattooed mohawked dwarf in battle armor with an axe that was also a rifle. But that's all. I would never think Warhammer, and I just remember seeing that.
Yeah. One last thing about his point, that particular episode, the last one, was really Mike-centric. He had a lot of spotlight there. And we try to share that around, and we do have some in the can in which some of the other players step forward, and I think you guys are all doing a great job with the Dresden tools and the game itself. It's been running along pretty well now that we're kind of getting the hang of it.
Right. More smooth than it was at the beginning, for sure.
And with that, we will continue on with the adventure. I'm Tom, running a Dresden Files game. The name of the scenario is Delivery. The players starting on my left are
Thomas playing Maxwell Edison, the undercover FBI agent.
John playing Roberto Martinez, Guardian of Cleveland, powered by a fallen angel.
Scott playing London Deals, amoral seer to the supernatural.
I am Jim playing Edmund Shadowski, private investigator and New World Black Court vamp.
I'm Mike playing Allan Montgomery, a warden come back to clean up the city of Cleveland.
Since we're starting for the evening, everybody has a minor milestone in which they can adjust any of their skills or change an aspect.
I need one.
Anybody want to make changes? In addition to that, we'll get the
Develop my character.
8 points out.
I need a new aspect.
You developed your character?
No.
Oh.
That was a command, I guess.
You mentioned a good aspect for my character. Are you only allowed to have a certain number of aspects at a given time, or...?
Yes, each of the such. So if you're changing one of your aspects, that means you're changing one that you currently have.
So they don't
replacing it.
They don't accrue, because you mentioned a good one that would apply to my character now for story purposes and for moving forward. It's like nothing else has changed with my aspects, so why wouldn't I just add on an extra aspect? Or is that's just a mechanic thing that we just can't?
Aren't there any of the ones you currently have that don't apply so much? I thought that was the case. You can't add new ones. You've got to change in some way.
Okay. I mean, if it's a mechanic thing and for balance purposes, I'm okay with it. It's just
7's the limit. 2 of them are your trouble and your high concept.
Just replace it with the new one. What is the new one?
haunted by a ghost.
Haunted by a ghost.
I'd say her name in it, but I don't remember her name.
Her name was Sarah.
Sarah Lemons. You'd know.
Haunted by the ghost.
You have a
You're
ghost
haunted.
stalker.
Well, you could offer her a sanctuary so she could travel around and watch us rescue
I think
her
she just wants to stalk you to make sure you
daughter.
find her child.
I think it's daughter.
Right, and I'm not trying to look for a benefit. I mean, it was an aspect that was kind of like,
It could be used negatively.
Yeah.
You want to go with tied to the ghost, Sarah Lemons, or obligated to the ghost, Sarah Lemons, or haunted by the ghost, Sarah Lemons?
Haunted, not. I don't like the word haunted, but I like somehow.
Oh, no.
Beholden is close.
What do they call it? Spirit guide, something along that line. But you're the earthly contact to the ghost of Sarah.
The medium?
Yeah, I don't know. Throwing out ideas.
I guess my point is that if I absorbed her memories
Yes, I have
for
children,
the
yeah.
purpose of knowledge, I probably also absorb her emotional commitment to saving her daughter, and so
Right.
I will find myself
An
compelled.
obligation, or
Compel, almost like a compulsion. A compulsion to...
I think you'd go with compelled by the ghost of ghost of Sarah Lemon.
Now, that leads me to the thing that I actually witnessed that I have not shared with anyone else, if I remember, because we agreed that in details. I absorbed a lot of information, and I didn't articulate it, and it was something that we probably left open because maybe memories will be spurred based on what happens in the game. You don't need to answer that right now, but there's something about the scene that you described that I saw that had me concerned about, because I think William Donovan, and 4 others.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people...
3 others.
Or 3 others. This person, and they all appeared to be human, not fae, not wizards. They didn't use magic. The only person that was using magic was William Donovan. You said that William Donovan retaliated against these guys when they killed Sarah. Or killed her husband.
I'm not exactly sure if that's the words I used, but that is the impression you got, yes?
Right, well, and maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm confused by the images I saw, which would actually play into what I hope is not true.
I'm sure you're running it through a filter.
Right. My point is, did I see him physically assault and attack these guys, or did I see him use magic to assault or take... Because I think you said magic. And if that's the case, then I witnessed a breaking of one of the laws.
Right.
Which is really, I don't know how I'm going to spin my way to ignore that.
Wait, did you witness him murder them with magic?
That's what I'm trying to...
Or did you witness him attack them with magic? Because that's not the distinction you're making, and that's what matters.
Who says they're human?
They appeared to be human based on the conversation from what we had talked about before. That's like, remember when I left, I was like trying to think it through some implications, and over the week I meant to talk to you about that, and I never got around to it. But it seems to be a very important issue. Like, did I perceive...
It's a very important distinction.
Yes. Did I perceive him physically attacking, or did I perceive him magically attacking? Because it will have impact on what we do.
Well, you've got two different problems here. One is you're going through the filter of Sarah, what she saw, and only what she saw, because no one else was there. So did she see and pass to you the image of
What
William
you believe to be true?
attacking one of these guys? Yes, definitely. With magic? Yes, definitely. Was the guy killed by magic? In the scene that you saw, you're unclear. And I think that comes into the second part of the filter. You don't necessarily want to be clear. You want to assume that William didn't do that. Am I right or wrong?
You're right, but unfortunately, my trouble is I can't play these type of games, and I have to follow the book. I have to go by the rules. So,
looking around this house and all the obvious magical damage done to the house.
Right.
Someone was throwing around magic to kill around here.
That's another thing I wanted to kind of, while we're still in this house, and maybe we can start up and we can talk about it, but is there offensive and defensive? You know, when you go to a crime scene and there's been gunplay, you can see where, okay, there's bullet holes going this way and there's bullet holes going that way, so there was an exchange of fire. You can kind of forensically figure out a little bit what happened.
All right, I will give you a fate point for your character because this is something that you feel is very important and you want to focus and spend time on determining how these people died, what it was that ended up killing them, what is the purpose or reason of their death. That is not probably the highest priority for anybody else in this room.
Right.
They don't care.
I think also what he's asking, Tom, is can he make a lore roll to deduce how the battle played out naturally?
Would he have to do magic to figure that out, though? Or would it just be a lore roll?
It depends on what he wants to do. If he's trying to go through Sarah's memories that were bestowed upon him, that's a different thing than actually
looking at the
physical. But that's more investigation than lore.
Is there anything London can do to recreate it?
It's possibly a combination of the two skills. If lore is higher than investigation, you get a +1 to investigation.
Jim, what's your investigation?
Superb.
Oh, never mind.
I do have divination, so I could use magic to try to recreate this if Mike's investigation of the scene doesn't give him the answer he's looking for. I've got a lot of magic to do, and I've been kind of beat up doing these small spells to keep us concealed, so I prefer
A time to rest.
that and to use the magic for something big, like if you want to trace Mr. Donovan or...
The child that's missing.
Right.
We have slipped right into game mode, which I don't have a problem with. You want to change an aspect, which you've done already, Mike?
Yes.
You mentioned change?
I pass. I want a brand new skill based on experience points, like earning a new skill, which would be my resources as I get further in the story, being able to get access to that again. Okay. But it doesn't make sense right now to do so, so I'm fine.
I'm good.
You're good?
I want to be better at investigation, but even if I was, I wouldn't be as good as Jim. So, I will not.
All right, so let's go back into the game. We have Mike just stepping outside of the circle as he broke the spell. You guys saw nothing that made any sense whatsoever. He seemed to be doing something inside there. He seemed to be talking to someone.
It sounded like we might have gotten a loose idea of some of the stuff that was going on, but...
Or was he wordlessly talking to
I don't
her?
know. Were you talking out loud? Or
I was probably talking out loud.
So you saw his part of the conversation.
They already knew that I had detected or we had seen the ghost.
Yeah, you did explain that.
during the...
Because you were making me assist you with empathy rules.
Correct.
Yeah, we were assisting him, so there was some conversation going back.
So that you were definitely explaining more or less, but you didn't give him all the details of what she said and what you saw and what was going on.
So I'll come out of it. I will kind of keep some of the information I witnessed, what I think I saw, but I'm not sure I believe what I saw because of, eyewitnesses are actually very unreliable.
Absolutely.
You know best.
In this situation. What I would like to appeal to Maxwell and his investigative abilities and other people here is to ascertain, what happened in this place. This is a crime scene, and can we reconstruct quickly, because I don't want to spend too much time here, using our Sherlock Holmes abilities to investigate this place. Can we determine how many spellcasters were hurling magic back and forth here, and maybe get a picture of what we were seeing?
I think I want to grab scene of the crime anyway. It just seems so relevant to my character.
Are you talking about adding a stunt or power?
Stunt. Yeah.
Okay. You didn't do anything, so you can use that as your minor milestone adjustment. It doesn't affect your current, but your refresh for the next time you rest will go down by 1. You're looking out the front window, Maxwell, and you see across the street in the wooded area that is the park, very big black dog-like creature, kind of walking in the woods, and he seems to be glancing over in this direction. Yes, very. And at the same time, roughly, Edmund's phone vibrates in his pocket.
And I answer my phone.
Your phone is Shayna Randall, your secretary. And she tells you, I'm sorry, Mr. Shadowski, I know you told me not to bother you, but we've got somebody in the office that's insisting that they need to talk to you.
Oh, jeez.
He's saying that he's a client and he wants to hire the firm, but he won't talk to anybody but you.
Does he have a name?
Yes. He does have a name. It is a Mr. Mahoney, Robert Mahoney, which you can make a contact roll if you wish to determine whether or not you've heard of this person.
I probably have not.
You would need...
The name is ringing a bell, though.
That was mediocre.
No, you don't.
Is it ringing your bells?
Pretty mediocre.
He's insisting on waiting until I get there?
Well, he's
out and
he's
about.
like making a fuss, and he says he knows you're in the office and he wants to see you. You know, one of those guys. I would push him off on Maxwell, but apparently he's out of the office too right now.
What good are you?
I spotted a dog. I think I'm pretty good.
You have to roll for that?
Didn't even have to roll. It was... Yeah.
I tell her to hold on. I put her on mute. Ask if you guys ever heard, hey, I got some crazy person in my office wanting to see me right now.
Superb.
Yeah.
Wow.
Robert Mahoney.
You want to tell anybody about this?
Yeah, you've definitely heard of him. He's like a higher up, but nonetheless a stooge for the clinic. He works for Constance Rockefeller, and he's kind of like her big guy.
So I fill him in.
There's a big dog outside, and he's staring at us.
Geez, staring at the house or staring at you, staring at the window?
Staring at the house.
As you watch it, goes deeper in the woods and it kind of disappears.
Now it's gone. So someone knows we're here.
How big is this dog?
Big enough that I noticed that it was big.
Robert Mahoney is kind of like her go-to guy, you know, like her main...
Or executive assistant?
Yeah.
I'll go chase him.
Yeah.
I click back over to my secretary and ask her if she could maybe talk him into setting up an appointment like later in the day or in the evening or in an hour
What
from now.
time should I set that for?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. I'll do my best, sir. And if he insists on sitting here till 11, that's his problem.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Sorry to disturb you.
I personally think we need to leave.
Not quite yet. I understand.
Someone knows we're here.
Well, did you make eye contact with the dog, or are you just saying that there's one of the dogs that we fought last night?
Did it look like that? Roll some awareness. And,
Close enough.
similar. About
If you want to roll a awareness is passive. I think you're going with investigation or scrutinizing. So, wow.
Yikes.
I would think you just need
average.
I was going to say fair,
I got an average.
which is not fair. It's below fair. So yeah, maybe roughly the same size, roughly the same shape, but you can't say for sure.
Whatever the case, I'd like to get out of here quickly. If we have something we still need to do before we leave, let's do it now.
We may not have another chance to get into this home, and I'd like to get at least take advantage of your skills and your ability to case the scene.
If everyone but the wizard scatters, they'll think we're gone. I mean, if we exit and go our separate ways and he doesn't leave, he can still...
You don't need to convince me.
We
We're the GM. I don't care.
I know.
We walked in here under a veil. People see people walking.
And we have one car, and we're as far west from Cleveland as we can. I thought we were
Still,
all...
there's only two separate
we have
ways.
Okay.
Warden, is this for your personal knowledge, or do you think it's going to help the case? Because we have what we need to trace down Mr. Donovan, and we have what we need to trace the baby. What possible good can we glean from spending 15 minutes here and risk being attacked by hellhounds? Who threw the first punch? Are we trying to temper your emotions, or are we trying to solve a mystery?
We're trying to solve several mysteries, and this is an opportunity that I'm afraid will not come again, which is why I would like to at least get a cursory casing of the scene of the crime and gather what evidence we can before we have to leave this
I pull out my gun and say, then let's get with it. Before we get attacked.
I thought he was pulling a gun on me.
Let's go, Fidge. Okay, a couple of things I want to remind you. You have the paperwork that you got for the thing, which had some leads in it. We haven't played for a week, so just to get you on the track on what you were thinking before you came here. This location might have given you new ideas and leads. The other thing was to remind you that your cars are parked through the woods where the dog is.
Right.
On the other side of the street.
I have the seeming. I can get us there. I'm sorry, the veil, not the seeming.
This would be recasting that, though, because obviously you let it drop when Paul came in here.
Right, absolutely.
Do you need to maintain your seeming for your personal issues, or...
That's being...
Because I don't think we're going to have an opportunity to veil everyone if we have to make a run for the car.
He's calling you right back. So is this for your personal issues that you...
No, I'm not trying to, but it is apropos. I'll protect you.
No, I'm just saying,
London.
let's move.
Okay,
Quickly.
Max, do your magic.
What they would be doing is they would be investigating this scene with, if their lore is higher than their investigation, they get to add 1 to this investigation because magic was used here. Both of those things kind of apply.
May I roll to apply my knowledge of magic to him to help?
And I would like to apply my level of magic to Mr. Shadowski.
My investigation
All right.
is quicker because I fucked it. Stunned.
What?
He gives +1 to investigate crime scenes and -1 time increment.
Right. So he's really
we
quick
wanted
at
to do
scoping
it
out an area.
Real quick, I would request to have
What's your level?
of investigation.
Yes.
Great for crime scenes.
All right.
Then
Okay. So if the three of you are assisting him, you each have to tell me how you're assisting him, and it has to be distinctly different.
He's quick. I'd like to leave. Let's let him do what he needs to do and move on.
I agree.
That way everyone's needs are met.
I would have no problem with one or more of you creating a maneuver, and that would not take the same amount of time that investigating would take. You would simply be telling him things, trying to help him. This is how.
Check that.
Right.
That's
check
fine.
this. Check. Don't forget that. And he could help with the lore by saying what type of magic
I have lore,
was
that's
used
why I was
in here.
I also happen to specialize in evocation and combat magic,
Go.
so that will be my angle that I'm
Go.
delivering.
I would say you would need at least a good understanding of how the magic was used here to get an idea. You are trying to help him strictly with investigation.
Right.
I would say since it would actually be great. You would need a great investigation result to give him a modifier of +2 as well.
I have a great
Which is
lore
better than
roll.
good. So you give him a aspect of magic battle knowledge.
I give him a fantastic.
Very good. So you give him your
Is fantastic.
forensic expertise.
And then I use my forensic expertise to help with his forensic expertise.
Or your crime
No,
scene
yeah, okay.
analysis.
I'm rolling.
To fully understand this scene and every detail of what happened, I would want a superb understanding of this.
I got a superb by myself,
Wow.
and then +4 from them is.
That's just
There's not a level for that.
that's
That's
just above
All
averagely
is
legendary.
revealed.
yes, and
I
he
know
does
all.
it quickly. It's quite impressive. So you start describing to them the different things that happened, and there was definitely a lot of magic that was being slung around. A lot of it dealing with fire and some scorch marks from lightning. Both of them are trademarks of Bill William, and most of them also relate to where the body outlines are on the floor. The amount of bloodstains on the ground do not really suggest the use of a cutting weapon, where you've got a lot more. There's no splatter marks, a surprisingly lacking amount of blood, except for in the bedroom where you believe Sarah was shot, and splatter marks on the wall and bleeding marks on the floor. And Vince Lemon, the husband, was shot in the kitchen, and there was a massive amount of blood there from the bleeding as well. The other three spots, the other 3 spots within the house did not show a lot of blood from cuts or shots.
To clarify what Max revealed, was there an offensive and defensive exchange of magic, or is it the magic seemed to be only against others?
According to his description, strictly an offensive attack of magic.
Probably all
And-
in a certain area, like
Right, and it seemed to be
that way.
like there was a lot centered in the kitchen where one of the bodies was, and there was a lot of offensive magic in the living room where another body was, and then in the hallway where the third body was.
And she said the blood splatters indicated like not guns or knives.
Yeah.
The 3 bodies that had to do with the areas where magic, there didn't seem to be any blood splatters or very little of it.
I confirmed exactly what you didn't want to hear.
Kind of bad.
That's not true. I need the facts. I mean, just because I don't like facts doesn't mean I don't need them.
Max did it relatively quickly, so very little time has passed.
Fail.
There's no
Huddle in.
I'm waiting by the side door to.
Huddle in.
no motion. Well, he can't be walked in the front window, but you don't notice any motion on the sides or back windows. So everyone huddles together.
I produce my silver sword.
You have your gun out, London. You have your sword out, Allan. Gun for Maxwell.
I got no. I don't think I have a gun with me.
Flexing of the
I
Wolverine claws.
casted a epic veil.
Whoa, very nice.
So those sniffing doggies can
Sniff all day long.
sniff all day long if they want.
You've
It's a
covered all the
very hard
senses
time.
in this particular veil.
Yes, I did. And I lead us out the side door, down the driveway, across Lake Avenue, I think was the one you said it was, or was it Detroit?
No, it
5 or
was
6 people off.
Stay close.
everybody huddled together. Can't remember the name of the street.
It was Wolf,
It was Wolf.
oddly enough.
Or not.
It is Wolf Road.
And then I try to get to where, I'm not kidding anyone, I'm walking up to the car that I'm getting into. Everyone else can make a dash to their other vehicle if they
You
so
guys.
care, but I got them this far, they can get the rest. At that point, I'll drop the veil.
Do you have a seeming up on yourself, or you know
I thought that was a maintained seeming, otherwise I'm going to have to cast a seeming,
prior?
Prior to dropping.
you would think you would be able to change yourself for a day if you wanted to, and but I don't know the system well enough because I only have 4 spots for mental conviction, and if every scene making yourself look different, that would be disadvantageous.
Well,
but that's the way it is.
No, I would say something along this line is anytime you want to rest and clear out your mental, you're going to need to let it go and then recast when you begin.
Fair enough.
So if you're walking around town constantly under a seeming, you're 1 down to start on any particular scene.
Right.
Okay.
Let's rendezvous where we met before. Say no names.
Right.
Okay.
Who's in your car?
I'm riding with.
I raised my hand, but I am.
Edmund, Allan, and Maxwell.
Yes. And myself and Roberto.
Give that to Edmund, and you guys are in a car, being London and Roberto. Who's driving?
Roberto.
Right down where you're meeting. Because you're not talking.
Oh, yeah.
You're leaving the parking lot, unless of course you're just
I can't even
following
ask
each
him.
other.
You're in the same car. Ask him.
I'll
be over here.
There's a Starbucks right at the corner. Oh.
Well, now they know where you're going, which was the whole point of the paper. Was that where you guys were going?
I didn't want to say out loud where we were going, so I said, let's meet where we met.
And where was that you were thinking of?
I'm thinking of like Cave de Vin.
From last night. So the point being is we're driving out together in the same direction because their way lies the highway. Not
That was the last time we were together, right?
No.
No, the last time you were together, you met at a Starbucks right down the
This
street
morning.
before you came.
There's a
here.
little strip
Where are you
mall.
going now or later or what the hell is going on?
I don't ever mean that. I'm sorry, I thought it was Cave de Vin. But you're right. It
Cave
was.
Devin was last night.
Maybe they could have a roll as Roberto puts on his blinker to pull into Starbucks. They go, oh, this morning we met there.
Follow London.
So we end up back at Starbucks.
I think I mentioned it before. If you wish, you could put over a cone of silence or a cone of mumbles, which
As
is
an aspect.
as an aspect on the table. So anybody trying to listen in would have to.
We turn into Charlie Brown's parents.
Right, you make that. So if you want to cast a spell, that's how we're going to deal with that particular spell, rather than.
Can I also throw in an extra little shift of power to make it sensitive, so I will know if someone's trying to tap into it?
Like a scrying sensor?
I would say that might require some time in your hotel room with finagling, because it's just.
I know. I need a proper plan.
Let's do it this way. I would like
I'm all about wizards having preparation.
But if you want to make a great lore roll, to think of this ahead of time, declaration based, like your magical knowledge, you would have thought of this before to incorporate the spell, you would have pre-made this thing.
Yeah, this is kind of a SOP for working out in the field among wardens.
So depending, you're a warden, you've been a warden for a number of years, would you have thought of this before? Give me a great lore roll.
Perhaps it was a trick that Bill had taught me.
Perhaps so.
So, unfortunately, in this case, I'm only a good.
Since you are a prodigy of Bill, you can tap that aspect for a +2, which means it will work automatically, but you'd be spending a fate point.
Yeah, that seems like a cheap thing.
Oh, just the confidentiality of our conversation, yeah.
No, it's not that. He can do that.
Oh.
It's he wanted to put a hook into it to know when it's been triggered. And
It's not
that's...
important to know people are spying on us. No, good call. don't spend that precious fate point. Spend the damn fate point.
Mike, you need to cast a spell, and you would need at least a good. So yeah, you got it. You control
The
it.
next step. You have a meeting at 11 a.m.?
Yeah, with people.
Right. That should be revealing a bit to see how much we've stepped on toes and see what kind of reaction you get. If it's polite, whether it's forceful, whether it's over the top. We'll know exactly how many toes we've happened to stumble upon.
Boss,
Yes.
I have a meeting. Gotta pay my debtor.
What time do you have that?
Ooh. I'm not.
We don't want to replay of last night, so when was that?
Morning?
Sometime in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be short here. You could drop me back off, and I'll take care of myself for this afternoon.
You got a meeting this morning?
Yes, if he wishes to remain ambulatory, he needs to have a meeting this morning.
Those guys again.
Warden, what's the next step as far as my divination goes? Do we need to find the child? Do we need to find William Donovan? Do we need to find someone else that I am unaware of right now? What would be your suggestion for the next step, since this is a gore ball game?
The vampire duo.
My divination is at your disposal.
I may need to tap you for 2 divinations. I just have to decide which one is.
You're footing the bill, so you've hired me for your disposal, and I'm happy to cast divinations all day long. Truth be told, I could do 1 divination now, and after a short of rest, I can go ahead and cast the second one. So which one would you find to be the most important right now?
Instead of you with these Sophie choices. So is there something here, like I am equally compelled now to pick one or the other. I think they're linked, so I think one will help lead the other, but do you want to challenge me or penalize me with...
No, you stayed in the house longer to find out the answer
Okay.
to what your mentor was doing, and is he really...
The choice is clear.
Bill.
Is he really a lawbreaker?
Well, I haven't told
Who
them
do you
about that
think
part.
the choice is clear for, Mr. Shadowski?
If there's a child that is in danger, we need to find her first. I don't see why there is even a discussion.
All that way on.
I suspect that they are linked. Bill would have been... Bill was actually in the act of defending the child, so you find one, he's probably the next logical person who will know what happened to this girl named Janice.
Janice.
Sorry, that's right, Janice. The two-headed symbol god. So,
Have you seen her?
Nope.
Then you don't have a picture of her yet.
I just want to spell easy.
we picked up her hair, though. We have a sample of her hair from her pillow, right?
So,
Right.
I don't think the decision is quite as cut and dry as you think, Mr. Shadowski. I don't minimize your input, and I certainly think it's a good option. But I can also see where Mr. Donovan can lead us to the child as well, and perhaps lead us to more information to reacquire the child more safely. I'm not sure which way to go, but I'm in your pay, so...
Go for Bill.
Thomas is saying that the delivery of the baby is the title of the show.
Oh.
I'm sure it'll have a few other meetings by the end, but that's the first.
So we need to depart because my right-hand man here needs to be at a meeting, and so do you.
And there's rules just around the block, but...
Right. It has nothing to do with...
This is on a personal note, talking before about preparation. At some point, I realize I'm going to need some kind of spell to capture and put him in carbonite of some kind, a warden, especially a tough warden. So I'm...
Seasoned veteran warden.
Right. That's going to take time, it's going to take magic, it's going to take research and working. So whatever process I have to start preparing, so I want to prepare early in the chapter, so when I pull out my little handkerchief of sunshine and throw it at the vampire or something.
Yes.
Or I want to be prepared for it.
Well, you got to tell me when you're going to do that. I mean, if you have...
If he's going back to rest to do his spell...
No,
He's doing one now,
I can
do one later.
I'm not going to do one here, obviously, in the middle of Starbucks.
No,
but one of my safe houses, I can do the spell. If you'd like to accompany me, you're more than welcome to. I will then need to convalesce for a bit before I can cast the second spell.
He won't pay you.
So actually, you know what? We could do it at your hotel. That's fine, if you prefer.
Do you require some protection? A hotel won't probably have a threshold enough to protect him while he does your thing, though, right?
Well, he's currently stationed in a seedy hotel, so there isn't much.
Oh, there you go.
There's really no
Okay.
advantage.
Not that, I don't know that you would...
I would
I
say
wouldn't
being in
mind-
the company of a warden would be protection enough for me.
Wow. Well, so our mutual services cancel each other out. You help me, I help you. I like this arrangement.
I believe we had a handshake agreement. Out of game real quick, did you need more money to approach your...
Yep. All right, tried to, but you're too
I don't
busy
think
eating
it's
it.
out of game. That is in game.
No, I wanted to understand, because he's been with me the entire day. Did he get that 100 from somewhere, whatever he needed?
Boss,
I would assume...
you were talking about?
I would assume, based on my rapport or conviction, not sure which one, maybe even contacts. When I spoke with the warden yesterday and said my usual rate, it's half up front and half at completion. So I would expect him to have come with the amount of resources necessary to pay me at least half of the going rate.
I don't think he's paid you yet.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I'll just tap him on the side and grab my... So I can basically help Roberto out with that last 100 he needs.
Do you need backup?
I can shoot people.
The last thing I need is to make more bodies.
Well, I can also talk to people. Pretty good at that.
I could talk to him, and if that doesn't work, I could beat crap out of him.
But you have an appointment, good sir.
I've tried both.
With the clinic.
Paying's easier.
And I think that's some invaluable information from the beginning there. So I'll take the 5,000 now and the following 5,000 at the completion of...
You could just walk over $5,000 right down in front of you.
Check how much he has to roll for that crap.
I'm pretty sure I'm not carrying cash like that. Also, I don't think we have ever clarified my fiscal resources as a warden.
Well, you got some. I don't know.
I do have some, but I'm willing to spend a fate point to determine what my levels are. If I have...
Do you have a level in...
Resources?
No. When you belong to an organization, you have the possibility of tapping that organization's resources.
Oh, okay.
And if they're sending in, I would say they would have to have superb resources.
But I'm willing...
At least. You're talking about...
Oh, yeah. We're talking about
Council.
flipping white
Right.
council.
Now, how much of that they're going to give you...
But that's what I mean. I'm willing to spend a fate point to smooth and
Make sure it's a robust amount.
Schmooze. Because I also realized, too, being new back to the scene, that I also need to have my flash roll to establish my credibility, my street cred here. I can't be coming in as the pauper warden. I gotta come in here as the badass warden ready to kick some ass. Baby.
When you were talking about creating your character, one of the things you mentioned is you were sent to Cleveland because you were kind of exiled. You were redshirted. You also were given the excuse that this is your mentor. Now, that doesn't mean you stayed with that concept with your character. Are you the ace quarterback that they're sending in because they need to find out what's going on? Or are you the redshirt who's been hiding in the Bahamas with the easy assignment and they kind of got tired of you sending in expense accounts and now they want to like...
These pina coladas are not going to drink themselves.
That's right. Send his ass to Cleveland. So, your character, you get to decide how were you assigned to the city of Cleveland.
I'm the warden who took down the Bahama Banshee.
Okay.
That's
one of your stories, is it? I don't remember that one. Okay.
That's a story we were all involved in.
There's a lot of zombies down in the Bahamas.
Absolutely.
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Right.
It used to be.
While their resources would be superb,
I would accept this, and maybe this will appeal to you. I might think I'm the shit, but maybe I'm sent in, and I may have been told I have resources, or I think I have resources, but then I become the man in Cleveland who's, well, what the hell's this guy doing? And if this will lead to trouble down the line, I'm willing to accept that too.
But going into this place, the council itself has superb or above resources. They're going to allow you access to one below, like great. So give me a roll of great plus your fate dice.
Just a straight up...
Yes.
Plus 3. That great becomes epic.
Wow. Okay, that's nice.
Bling.
Fun check.
Represent.
I would say that you requested something like, what?
25,000.
25,000? They give it to you. They give you $25,000.
You could ask for $1 million at that point, but
$10 million was up. They're not going to give you $10 million. But you have the backing, and they're giving you the resources. Bill Donovan was in Cleveland for a very long time. He lasted longest of any of the wardens in recent history. They want to know what happened to him. They're fully behind you. They give you a little bankroll, $25,000 in cash. Let us know if you need anything else.
Right, and the
gold card.
No, the black card.
Okay.
Yeah, not the gold card.
But you've got their full resources behind them.
Sweet.
Okay, so I'll take my retainer up front, please.
Dan.
I give him his $4,000.
So then I slip you $500 to make sure that you have enough to take care of your issues.
Awesome. Steady paycheck.
Let's just make sure it doesn't happen. Okay.
Break. You guys head off in different directions?
Well, I actually get in the car with these two.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, Maxwell, are you up for backing up Roberto?
I will talk and not shoot.
Excellent. So those two get into Roberto's vehicle. I get into Mr. Shadowski's vehicle. Can you drop us off at the Renaissance that we're at?
You're at the key.
Fantastic. Accommodations meeting of my requirement.
Yeah, I'm dropping people off and going to my meeting, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, so we have 3 separate
closest to
Bay Village on
yeah.
the west side, so we'd have to get on.
So the first one you'd probably hit would be the key. The downtown would be...
Take 90 all the way.
Well, actually, it's not far from there. So you're dropping them off, and you're both walking from the parking lot and probably get to your rendezvous at the same time. At the front desk is James on duty there, and you check. You don't have any messages. Wishes you a good day, and you head up to your room. Right. So you guys are there. You go up to your... You have an entire floor of the building. You got a very big organization. Shayna informs you that he did refuse to leave, so she set him up in a conference room, and even to meet him in there, or she can let him wait a few more minutes and then bring him to your office.
That'd be pretty fun.
Oh, I stopped in my office, check messages.
So you can let him stew for a little bit longer?
And then I'm going to go in. Make sure there's nothing else pressing going on before I have to meet this guy who's invading my time.
So you do have a few messages from your underlings, and they have some questions, and you spend a few minutes calling them back and then telling them how to proceed in certain cases, taking roughly 10 or 15 minutes here, making the guy wait. You guys take a little longer, being Maxwell and Roberto, to drive across the whole town to the east side. You guys get to your room first, and you guys being Allan and London, what are you?
I'm going to let him have the front suite. I don't have a big suite, but that's a place that has area for him to do what he has to do. I'm going to check the window, take up a position by the door. I'm going to observe and watch him, but I'm also going to stand on guard.
Got that sheet in your hand, you're kind of looking at it, glancing at it, thinking about it. You are setting up in the room. You want to set up a circle so you can do a spell.
Once,
you're going to start
probably we get some classical music on the satellite TV. We'll set up shop. I have everything laid out. For divination, do I need a circle?
I would imagine that he would always do a circle, build the spell up, and then release the spell to go do its thing by breaking the circle. So there's usually always a circle.
As opposed to evocation. Evocation is a now, boom.
I think this is a longer...
Thaumaturgy is a longer, slower, and what you need for that is concentration above all else. So creating some kind of circle to protect you from outside forces in addition to just centering your mind and get ready.
And let's be clear.
It's probably a procedure where you just calm yourself. And
right.
Going from the books, Harry would sit there and go through a whole ritual of getting ready, clean himself, take a quick shower, go through like the whole ritual.
Cleansing, settling, focus.
Shower is fine. I mean, they have oils and different, scented shampoos, things I would definitely enjoy.
It's a nice
yes, I don't use Morton's, to be clear. I've got some nice kosher sea salt that I put around in a nice circle. This is not your garden variety, umbrella lady on it.
In fact, it's not sea salt. It is salt from the salt mines in Lacuri, which is connected to this area that will emphasize your detection.
Excellent. It's my homemade batch of salt. Because, again, there's no Morton's in this man's pantry.
I'm not going to make you roll on that. Just a declaration, and it works.
Mm-hmm. I've basically done my preparation as far as...
That's going to be a lengthy process. We're going to go back to...
The bathrobes here are just outstanding.
Well, we're just going to skip over the shower scene completely?
If you in London want to act now, you go in the other room.
I'm just saying.
That the preparation takes much longer than Edmund's interview will take, so we're going to go back to Edmund. But before we leave the thaumaturgy, we want to determine the complexity of the spell. So what is it exactly you're trying to do?
I am trying to get the exact location of William Donovan at this moment, right here, right now.
And for components, you're using the hair found in...
Hair, brush, or hat, thank you. Also, I think we have a page from his planner.
With his handwriting and...
I don't think it hurts too much to have his protege in the same room with me as I conduct the spell.
Emotionally, there is a strong desire to track and find him.
And plus, there's a bond between you two.
Yep.
Does the spell destroy your opponents?
Yes, absolutely.
So we probably would have photocopy the sheet before we...
Well, we have 2 copies already, so I think we...
Well, the GM gave you 2 copies, but the assumption is you made copies of it knowing that you would have to destroy it.
Also, we're wizards, so wouldn't we have the ability to kind of memorize it and kind of have perfect recall of it? Or is that a special talent in this game?
I don't know.
What's the question?
I would say you'd have to third sight it before you could memorize it, so it's permanently in your head.
I'm going to use the sight on a piece of paper. That should be safe, right? No problem there.
Where are you holding this paper? Up in London? I don't think automatically, because you're a wizard, you have eidetic memory. You're going to remember every doodle and scratch and smudge on the page.
Well, I mean, I'm okay with exerting effort to do it as part of it, but I would imagine that having a very good memory would be kind of key to being a good magician.
Okay, and to be perfectly clear, before you started all this, you dropped all seemings, all veils.
Everything is dropped.
You spent a time recuperating and getting all of your mental stress back so that you're ready to go.
I would offer to help you, but in this case, I think I need to focus on...
You know what you can do? Lunch. I think we should order some nice lobster bisque.
I'm not your servant, London.
No. I just mean, can we order room service? I don't cast well on an empty stomach, sir. And since it's his room, it's being charged to him. Just to be clear. And so
we're going to out-cheap each other.
We get a nice...
Who has the bigger resource right now? Just
Kobe steak,
I'm down
lobster bisque, some nice red wine.
Dude, I just paid you $5,000 and now you're asking for lunch too?
Can't you expensive, Warden?
It's the morning. You want lobster bisque? You can have a club sandwich.
Wait, it's not morning anymore. After I showered and did all this convalescing.
It's about lunchtime.
Yeah, it's lunchtime.
All right.
We have to eat.
Oysters and champagne?
Of course.
Okay.
Okay. I'm really concerned about you two together in this hotel room. So, your preparation for this, the difficulty.
Yes.
We're talking epic.
Epic?
Epic.
Wow. Yikes.
Thanks for listening to Knights of the Night Actual Play podcast. Visit kotnpodcast.com for more information on this and other adventures, where you will find character stats, photos, storytelling props, and even a forum for comments and suggestions. Or you could email us directly at feedback@kotnpodcast.com, or contact us via Twitter or leave a message on Facebook. All music for this podcast was created and performed by Zen Audiosmith. If you'd like custom professional music created for your podcast or business, please visit zenaudiosmith.com. And please join us next episode for more mystery and adventure.
The bathrobes here are just outstanding.
Well, we're just going to skip over the shower scene completely?
If you in London want to act it out, you go in the other room.
I'm just saying.
On a side, talking to some of the parents at the Cub Scouts, one of the ladies' husbands works in the Cleveland salt mines.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, oh, that would be cool. You should talk to your husband about setting up a tour for the kids. Because that would be just, hell, I would want to go. You know, I want to see what the salt mines look like and what they're all about. And she says, I talked to him about that. We can't. You need security clearance because, and I'm like, well, why?
Right. Salt is top security.
That's because there's zombies underneath. Vampires. But she said that there are ships from other nations that come in and dock there to pick up salt. They sell internationally from the Cleveland salt mines, and therefore it's like considered
international waters kind of thing.
More or less, yeah. And I was like, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
They also use salt mines and salt chambers to store a lot of nasty stuff sometimes because it's guaranteed to
Don't want Cub Scouts running around down there.
Right.
What's this nuclear waste signal on?
I'm not saying it's nuclear waste, but...
I saw this thing in Half-Life 2. What does it mean?
Yeah. All right,
Why do these barrels explode?